Hello, friends. Before I introduce the host, I'd like to say thank you for allowing me to be part of this new audio session. My name is Nisha. Your live show is simply amazing. So many talented artists and beautiful people. I look forward in working with all of you on these cool projects. I have had the privilege of watching and listening to a few outstanding shows. The community you all have created is something to be proud of. Feel uplifted, knowing that all of you have contributed to something very special. This show is more than just music. As Denny always says, it's for the members by the members. Right now, I'd like to introduce the host, Denny Cool.
Let's go. Welcome to a fabulous show this evening. Hope everybody can hear me. If not, I don't have to tell you. Turn your volume up, put your hearing aids in, because I'm not adjusting anything. Anyways, welcome to a awesome Friday night, where tonight we have a very special guest, a DCG member, as a matter of fact. It's going to be a fun night of Freddy. That's all I can say. We got Freddy in the background, waiting so patiently. So, again, want to welcome everybody. Thank you so much for being here tonight and supporting a family member, Freddy. Freddy and I have been working on the technical aspects of things, so we will at times may need some adjustments, so bear with us. We ask that if you can hear us, okay, let us know. If you can't hear Freddy, vice versa. All right, that's very important to us because we have to know what's going on. We can't hear what you guys can or can't. All right, so no scarf tonight. No, Cat, it's just too warm for the scarf, even though it's silk. It's too warm. I'm ready to just, if you notice, I don't have my collar on, just my sports coat. So wearing the silky just made it warmer, because then I have to wear it around my neck. All right. So yeah, Blue, that's a good idea. Why don't you send me one? I want a purple monkey scarf. No, I'm actually not sweating, Bev. That's actually my skin. It's very shiny. Not sweat. That's actually shine. Believe it or not. I got Jude's from Australia sent me this. It's called Lucas Paw Paw Ointment. I use it all the time, especially after I'm a day in the sun. Stuff is great. I thought it was for my dogs, and I was using it on them. But because it says Paw Paw Ointment, it's not for dogs. It's actually for humans. Anyways, I don't want to take up more time of me. I want to get right to this. So, no, I don't use facial cream, Cat. It's an ointment, all natural. Anyways, without doing any further, ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in our nice warm guest this evening, Freddy, aka Freddy from Canada. And here he is. Freddy, welcome, my man. Hold on, Freddy, hold on. I gotta unmute you, buddy, hold on. on, Freddy. Oh, Freddy, you gotta unmute you. Ask to unmute, it says, Freddy. There
All
you
right,
go.
can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, all right.
It's funny when I watch myself in the live chat, I'll wave at you guys and there's like a 5 second delay. So I'll watch myself wave and then catch my doppelganger do the second bunch of waves 5 seconds later.
Can
you
everybody
imagine?
hear Freddy nice and loud and clear? I think they can, Freddy.
Awesome. Can you imagine two of me in the world? Kind of scary.
You know, Freddy, my mother said that once. She goes, I hope when you grow up one day, your kid is just like you. And, well, she is, and I got to say I'm proud of it. Actually, one daughter is, the other daughter's kind of not, so she's really not so smart. But my other daughter, Freddy, who is like me, is very smart. So, yeah, you know, two of you, Freddy, I think would be a blessing. Double the fun, my man. Anyways, Freddy, glad you here. And thank you so much, man, for putting your time off last week to get the other second last show done. We appreciate that. And I noticed, Freddy, your background is like almost, it's like a opaque.
Kind of.
Like antique-ish?
It's all virtual, mind you. I put a lot of work into it.
Yeah, I noticed, man. I could tell with the things that you sent me. Speaking of, a lot of people don't know. Maybe some do, they've seen it, but if not, you will after. Freddy, what I asked Freddy to do was secretly record some new material for me. And then the day of or the day before, send me the links so that we can play them so that they don't get populated on SingSnap. And that's what he did. So there's several of them. He put a lot of time and effort. Freddy, I like how you did these videos, and he did. You guys are going to love what he did here. So that's awesome. He put a lot of time and effort into it. So I'm glad you did that for us, buddy. And Freddy, I don't know if you can, on my end, the chat scroll fast, but I'll try to, keep the commentary going for you here. A lot of people saying they love your shirt. Good idea, Freddy, about doing the new videos so that nobody could hear you. Danny says, okay, Freddy, we are waiting, LOL. So let's get started, Freddy. First of all, I remember contacting you a while back, sending you an email. Remember that? Asking you if you wanted to have more features and join the show.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I think that was it from there. You joined us one night, and then after that, man, it's been history.
Well, I've heard of you a few times months before I joined, and I never took the plunge. And then all of a sudden, in the last month, it was our famous Judy Eagles flight who gave me the final push. And I'm glad she did, because it was the best thing ever joining here.
You only heard of me a few times, Freddy? That's it? Ugh.
Well, the SingSnap world is vast.
I don't know.
And I only know a very few number of people.
I'm feeling kind of sad now, Freddy. It would have been good, man, if you said, like, yeah, Denny heard of you a couple thousand times. And
I'm sure I heard about you when I was born, but I just had a temporary case of amnesia.
Freddy, I said I imitated my wife, and did you forget to get this? Friggin' amnesia, man. When you're out in the sun, dude, it happens to you all the time. You know what I mean? Anyways, you look good, bro. You look good. Freddie, let me ask you this. Everybody knows you for, like, your spontaneity, right? Your enthusiasm, the fun that you put into doing your videos. It's kind of like you have a unique way about you, right? That is distinctively Freddy. It's undeniable when people hear you and see you just judged based off of the videos you do, the songs you sing, the way you sing them. Let me ask you this first before I get into that, because I'm curious about that. have you always been involved with music and singing, or did you start off like, from day one, or since you can remember, or was it something that kind of carried on later in life?
Well, I can push my family background to the end of this conversation and go straight into the music. But I forgot to tell you that I am so lucky and excited and honored to be here. Like, you have no idea. Like, to be picked for an interview this fast after putting in the request, it's an honor. And guys, like I told Denny a few days ago, I said, I don't know if some of you remember Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, but I told Denny it's like winning a golden ticket in a Willy Wonka
He
chocolate bar.
did.
Do you guys remember that?
Well, it's an honor to
Um,
have you, man. It truly is, Freddie. Because when we were doing that, when we started up at the live interviews again, our whole intention, for the show, as you and I talked, is yes, it's about music, and that's what brings people here, right? But then it's up to the people, right? The members to really make it happen. And for us, yeah, we could sit there and and play songs every week or whatever, and that's great. Nothing wrong with that. But we want to do more, right? We want to have diversity with our show. We want to have different aspects of it. We want to offer, the members different elements, like you, like we did with Johnny, like we do with the mugs, the winners and stuff. You know, uh, we want to have it, Freddie, so that every Friday you guys look forward to something different, something fun, even if it's just a little bit, because you can't go anywhere else on YouTube. And I checked to find what we do. And I'm not boasting about that, but it's the truth. We do it live, so when mistakes happen, you've seen it, it happens, right? And the great thing about doing these interviews, Freddie, and about having you on is I was excited about it too because given your personality, I really thought it'd be great for everybody to see and hear you for you because you're there's more to you than just the aesthetics of what you do, right? So your music, how you do it. When did you actually start, singing and recording?
okay, so I will. So when I tie in my family background later, that will actually make sense why I am the person that I am.
Yeah.
But when it comes to music, I mean, heck, I have loved music all my life. Like growing up, I've always had like me and my immediate family, like me, my mother, and my dad, because it was just the three of us until my sister was born 16 years later, and I'll get into that later. But growing up, we always had music playing at home, and being raised in a Dutch family. I mean, I was born and raised here. My family came from the Netherlands. We even had Dutch traditional songs playing at Christmas time, and back in the day when my mom had energy to cook, it was the one big dinner of the year where we had family come over, and I'm not talking about 20 people. We had maybe 10 or 12 people come over, and
Mm.
we actually my mom would prepare a huge turkey dinner. We had the fixings and the everything, and and we had the music playing, and it was simple, but it was very fun, and it didn't take much for all of us to be happy. Um, I basically was born in 1971, so I grew up loving the 70s to the 90s. I even wound up loving the old stuff decades before I was even born. Love the oldies. I love jazz. I love blues. To me, music was so real back then growing up. Um, the one thing I don't really care for is heavy metal. The head banging against the metal wall isn't my isn't my thing. But even the new age rap stuff nowadays, that's kind of filthy and But the thing is, but the old school stuff was cool. So I do like the old school rap, and I actually attempted old school rap, and I just like it. Anything that has a good beat, something that makes you feel good, something that just you want to listen to on a long road trip, and just feel wind in your hair, and just just I'm never closed minded. Like I will try anything once and just be surprised that, hey, I never heard this before, but
Right.
now I freaking love it, right? So I thank my mom for not being of I thank my mom for not being scared of a lot of things. So I think that's why I have this open mind of just trying things and not being scared to try things. Um, or in my life, I've sung in church choirs. I've been in small quartet jazz and worship groups, so we had the neat harmony going on. Um, I've got fond memories of being in a full concert band through high school where I was playing the trumpet. Um, most students had their parents pay for instrument rentals, but growing up in a poor household, like my dad knew some people working at this large national pawn shop, and yes, it was on the up and up, but he bought me this trumpet for $100. Now, it wasn't pretty, it was tarnished, and it didn't look great, but the guy that was working there said, this is an Olds brand trumpet. Like in Olds was a popular brand name back in the day, and they had a professional guy on site, and he was playing it, and it had the most beautiful sound, even though it wasn't beautiful. So that was my instrument. My parents didn't rent it; I owned it. It was mine. So it was simple. It was humble.
It's funny because Blue Shah actually literally asked that not too long ago in the chats if you were involved in a band or anything like that, and I think you kind of answered that. And you know what I like about that story is you're absolutely right. A lot of, in my opinion, I think what makes music so special for the majority, Freddie, is when it's like something that's yours, right? It may not be the best, like in your instance, right? Or, say a guitar or something of that nature. And it may not sound the best. It may be out of tune or whatever. But it's yours. And that sound is your sound. You know what I'm saying? Like, you made it sound the way you want it to sound. And to you, back then, that was your music. That was your go-to. And you made it yours. And I think that, in my opinion, that speaks more volume, I think, than, and not to put anybody down who had the ability to have or afford, private lessons or new instruments or anything like that, Freddie, but I think it's the struggle of getting to that point, starting from here and then getting up there, I think just gives you a whole different outlook on it, and I think it gives you a different appreciation towards what you're doing.
And it's like, sorry.
No, go ahead.
And like, I don't play trumpet anymore. I mean, I stopped years ago in my 20s. But the thing is, like, growing up, I remember not being popular in my apartment at the time. And
you lived in an apartment doing that?
Yeah.
So I mean,
so people in the building didn't appreciate me much. But the thing is, what I eventually did was, like, I kept holding that trumpet because it meant something to me, because my parents didn't have a lot of money growing up, and that my dad, $100 was a lot of money, and he was proud to find that for me, and I did my best through school to play that thing as good as I could. And then as I got older, I didn't want that thing collecting dust, because I didn't so I went on eBay, and I spent a long time because I wanted to sell it, but I didn't just want it to sell it to anybody.
Right.
And I wound up meeting a guy on eBay who had a small boy who was also small, getting into his band classes, and this father, like, he said, you know what, I've been looking for a long time for an instrument, and I couldn't afford anything for my son, and I was the happiest guy, and I wound up giving it to him for free, because I knew my trumpet was gonna wind up being in a good home. And then nowadays you can catch me playing acoustic guitar at home. It's my hobby. Like, I'm not that great. I mean, I'm still learning as I go, but I will play like camp song style, and at least I can sing and play, so I enjoy that. And I gotta tell you guys, I do love karaoke, as you know. I mean, I've been on Sing Snap since 2008, but I would also perform live karaoke locally when I get a chance to sing in a tavern for the regulars. So the very first time I did public karaoke was at a Saigon restaurant, now it's long closed. And I was nervous because that was the very first time. So I stood behind this podium, and my legs were shaking. I'm not kidding. Like, my legs were shaking. and I'm not the kind of person to give speeches in front of people, let alone sing. So I wound up singing "Teenager in Love." I think it's from Dion. Why must I be a teenager in love? So all the seniors would be up dancing, and all of a sudden I started feeling better as I went throughout the song. And then by the time I finished, I felt like I couldn't walk anymore. But but there's nothing like having a live audience and the energy that's received from them. Like people get into it, they don't judge, and they just clap and holler. So I guess I find Sing Snap to be so enjoyable because I get to share my voice.
Mm-hmm.
People say that my positivity is infectious, um, and and I make these creative videos, and some of them are goofy, some of them are serious, but my simple goal is just to bring happiness and smiles to people because we all go through crap in life once in a while. So if I can make somebody laugh and hope that they can enjoy my singing as well, then hey, I was successful.
Well, I gotta tell you this, Freddie. Um, if the interview were to stop now, okay, and I, tell a lot of people they don't understand it. I guess you have to be me to understand it, or have the same problem I do, and that problem is I have this. I call it a curse, and it's a curse because I can literally look at somebody, hear somebody, or even see how they text, and I know the type of person they are, right? And if the interview were to stop now and no more conversation was to be had, I can tell you, Freddie, the fact that you handed somebody something, not that you purchased a trumpet and just, gifted it to somebody. I mean, that's still nice. Don't get me wrong. But that trumpet that your dad at the time really didn't have the resources, but he did, and he stretched his dollar to buy you something that he thought you would enjoy and can make use out of, and that was something personal to you, right? So that was a reflection in your life at some point that brought you joy, brought you happiness, especially from your dad. And you mentioned that you just didn't want to sell it to anybody, right? And the fact that you did all of that, spent all that time researching, and then you found a dad who was trying to get his son a trumpet, but really didn't have the means, and you gifted it to him. That, in my view, Freddie, speaks volume about a person's character, right? Because again, it's not an item you don't bought and just had the money to do it. No, it was something that was sentimental to you, but you shared the value of that personal piece. That instrument was personal to you, and so you shared that with somebody else in hopes that that child now can have the same feeling, the same blessings that you had growing up that brought you joy. And I think, Freddie, that is awesome of you to do that. It just, again, it speaks volume. And you're right. Back then, Freddie, yeah, things were much, much different. You know what I mean? Times have changed. I was born in the 70s as well. We didn't have a lot growing up. We were all a musical family, right? But I'm glad you stated, how your mom always impressed upon you to try things, to never, give up, right? And I think that had such a deep influence on you, and you can tell just based off your music, without even doing the interview, just based off of your music, based off of what you said so far. And so, kudos to your parents, man, and kudos to you for keeping a straight head, and doing what you're doing. Who, or I know sometimes I ask everybody this, and sometimes there's more than one, but musically, Freddie, do you have like one influence or maybe a couple that you can say, you know what, if I were to do music professionally or what have you, this is who I would like to be as a professional artist? Is there anybody that just pops in your head as an entertainer? They don't have to be like world renowned.
Well, like I just love these questions that put you against the wall, and you have to just give one specific answer when it's easy to say, "Hey, I like all these artists."
Of course.
But the funny thing is I was this week I had a really busy week at work, and for some reason I was just in the mood for listening to a lot of music from Journey, and nothing against, because Journey has had several lead singers along the way in their time, and nothing against their current lead singer, but my guy would have to be like Steve Perry, because he had such a unique voice that when he sung, like, it actually went deep into your soul. Like, he had that specialness in his voice that it just made you like have goosebumps and shiver, and I can't explain it. Maybe someone else knows what I mean, but it's just, that was just one I could think of in particular.
No, Steve Perry, that I can register with that, man. Steve Perry's good, very talented. Have you tried to emulate any of his songs? He's tough.
I have. Well, the thing is, it's really funny because, like, usually, like, even when I was in choir, I always sang I always sang tenor, so I could never get too low and never get too high, and sometimes I sing tenor where I get to the point where I'm like squeaking, and then I kind of find my safe zone. So lately I've been trying to find some songs that I could sing, like Truly, or I mean, not Truly, I mean like Faithfully, or things like that, just to kind of test my range, because
Right.
lately I've been singing lower registers, and I don't always do that, so it's been something new to me the last few months as well.
Steve Perry, dude, was tough. Did you ever see the replacement for him? That Asian, is he Asian or Chinese?
Arnell, the Filipino guy.
I heard that years ago. This is when I worked at the law firm, right? And so I'm sitting at my desk in the cube next to me. He was a huge Journey fan, right? And he comes over and he says, "Hey," he goes, "You hear the new, hear the new Journey song?" I'm like, "Dude, Steve Perry." He goes, "Listen to this. It was Faithfully." And then he showed me who was singing it. Freddie, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Speaking of singing, we're going to do this, Freddie. And as always, guys, I will put the links in the chat so you can check them out. Freddie, it's already public on your thing now, Freddie, on your Snap page, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So Freddie made it available for everybody. All right. So it's already on there. I will send you guys the links in here. Okay. I don't think I put on the main channel specifically for that reason. Now I'm not going in order, and these are all great. So I'm just gonna pick as I go. This one here, I think this is a side-by-side, Freddie, that you did. Okay, I love this one. I mean, they're all great. It would be hard to say which one is my favorite.
I crack myself up sometimes.
But this one I love, all right, because you're talking about, the tenor singing, what you register. So I'm like, okay, this is perfect. This will tie right in. If I had $1 million, okay, so I want everybody to listen to this. Freddie and I are going to take a couple-minute break while you guys enjoy If I Had $1 Million, freshly recorded by Freddie. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go.
If I had $1 million,
If I had $1 million,
well, I'd buy you a house I would buy you a house. And if I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, buy you furniture for your house, maybe a nice Chesterfield or an ottoman. And if I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, well, I'd buy you a cake car, a nice Reliant automobile. And if I had $1 million, I'd buy your love. If I had $1 million, I'd build a tree fort in our yard. If I had $1 million, you could help, it wouldn't be that hard. If I had $1 million, maybe we could put a little tiny fridge in there somewhere. Well, you know we could. Just go up there and just hang out. Like open the fridge and stuff, and there would be all this food laid out for us. Like little pre-wrapped sausages and things. They have pre-wrapped sausages, but they don't have pre-wrapped bacon. Well, can you blame them? Yeah. If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, well, I'd buy you a fur coat, but not a real fur coat, that's cruel. And if I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, well, I'd buy you an exotic pet, yep, like a llama or an emu. And if I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, well, I'd buy John Merrick's remains, ooh, all them crazy elephant bones. And if I had $1 million, I'd buy your love. If I had $1 million, we wouldn't have to walk to the store. If I had $1 million, we'd take a limousine 'cause it costs more. If I had $1 million, we wouldn't have to eat craft dinner. But of course we would eat craft dinner. Of course we would. We'd just eat more. And buy really expensive ketchups with it. That's right. All the fastest Dijon ketchup. If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, well, I'd buy you a green dress, but not a real green dress, that's cruel. And if I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, well, I'd buy you some art, a Picasso or a Carfunkel. If I had $1 million, if I had $1 million, well, I'd buy you a monkey. Haven't you always wanted a monkey? If I had $1 million, I'd buy your love. If I had $1 million, 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 I'd be rich.
All right, ladies and
please.
gentlemen, I got Freddy back in just a second. He's kind of sitting in the background. I put him in the back room. That's If I Had $1 Million by Freddy from Canada. I have to let the stuff load in the back end for a few seconds. That's the joy of doing live. Someday, ladies and gentlemen, we'll have the means to afford to buy all of the software rather than using the updated free stuff. Anyways, for now, it is what it is, and we deal with it. Okay. Give me a second to fix everything. Here we go. Freddy is back in action. Freddy. All right, beautiful. It's much louder than songs. Let me see. I'm much louder than songs. Sounds like a toilet thing. Who sounds like a toilet? I sound like a toilet.
That's pretty tough.
That is hard to take. I don't know how to take that. Freddy, you're telling me I sound like a toilet.
As long as you don't have to imitate a toilet.
Well,
People imitate other things, animals and whatnot, but
no, less louder than the songs. Denny, you're too far from the mic. No, actually, hold on. I'm not. Let me do this. I turned it down. Is this a little bit better now for everybody? What I said about the flow. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, some are lower, some are higher. I recommend though, if you have earbuds or headphones, using them. For some reason, everybody's sound is different. So, and I know for many of you, if I turn up the studio mic too much and I red peg, then it becomes distorted and blows your eardrums out. So I try to keep it between -10, which is very high on a studio mic. So, but thank you for the feedback. We can, Freddie, and you know, throughout the interview, if you run into a problem or something happens, right, don't blame yourself. That's why we have Jude's. Okay, blame her. All right, that's what she's there for. She can take it. She's a tough cookie. Yeah, what you're hearing in the background is my fan. That is correct. I have a window fan. I know it sounds a little distracting, but it's there for a reason, so that this cool cat doesn't become a hot cat. So, Freddie, I like that $1 Million song. I love the video effects. Let me ask you this question.
sure.
Just out of curiosity's sake, right? Using XSplit by any chance?
Say what?
The XSplit?
XSplit. What
Yeah,
is that?
X- Yeah, for like
I should
your
do it.
backdrops and stuff like that, removal. The XSplit
Oh,
VCam.
oh no. You know, it's a long story, and I'm happy to pass on my knowledge because I had a few things that people asked me this as well. So I'll tell you how I do my virtual stuff. So I started off a long time ago using Minicam, and I still use Minicam to a point because sometimes they have certain things that work from Minicam.
Ah.
But for all the cool stuff like the AI, like fitting my face perfectly, things like that, I actually came across Snapcam. Now the thing is, years and years ago, Snapcam was free. Anybody could use it. They could use the camera lenses and do anything that they want. It was really cool. And then I think it was January of 2000 and I forgot, a couple of years ago, they said, "Hey, we're shutting this down." So everybody
course.
who enjoyed using those lenses were out of luck, including me because I hated it because I absolutely loved it. And then with Snapcam, like they were also kind of part of like Snapcam chat, and I never went there for like chat forums. I used it specifically only for the virtual camera only. So after hours and hours of researching Google, extensive searches, I found one guy. I think his name was Jaku or something like that, and I've got a link for the YouTube video. But he found a way to create a patch so that when you install the initial Snapcam lenses, he instructed you on how to replace one file with a file that he made. So basically, you're logging into his server, not into Snapcam directly, and you have access to 100% of all the lenses, and it works like a charm.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's on Manicam, you say?
No, Snapcam.
Oh, Snapcam.
So now when I make my videos, sometimes I combine Minicam with Snapcam, but a lot of the times I don't even use Minicam anymore because Snapcam is really cool.
I was just curious, right? Because I noticed, like, you know, you do a lot of those effects and backdrops, and I'll use a combination between the OBS Wondershare and the XSplit VCam, which the XSplit VCam, Freddie, is free, right? And it literally removes your background, right? And of course, if you have a green screen, you know, I do. Mine's actually hanging from the ceiling, and I pull it down because the thing's so big. But I like doing that stuff, and I really love like how you just put that you know, nuance into your videos. And when you're singing, Freddie, let me ask you a question. That particular song, right? it's an older song, but you know, when everybody hears it, it kind of puts them in a good mood, makes them feel good. What do you think of like when you sing that song? I know every song that I sing, I think, or I'm feeling something. Like, what feelings or memories do you have when you sing that song?
Well, you know, they're one of the Canadian bands that I absolutely love, and every time they tour and they come here locally, I
Yeah.
love going to their concerts because those guys don't just perform on stage and be serious. Like those guys have fun themselves, and they portray that fun and throw it out to the audience. And those guys are even dancing on stage. Like they're playing their instruments, they're switching up instruments, but they're dancing and they're having fun themselves. And because they're having fun, it adds a lot of fun factor to the song itself, as well as them being very creative. Like they're lyrical geniuses. Their music's fun. Their music makes you feel good, and that's why. So when I'm singing that song, I want to dance while I'm singing it too, just because that's the feeling that I get. Besides adding the virtual dollar bills flying from the sky and pretending to try to catch them, of course, which was impossible.
Freddie, you were mentioning earlier when we started the interview. Uh, I'm just curious because do you have or come from like a large family, or you know, like relative size, or you guys have like an enormous sized family?
Yeah, so you know, because I mean, like I joined, you know, I joined Sing Snap in 2008, right? So
Yep.
everyone knows me as Freddy, and Freddy is my childhood name growing up, and I like the name Freddy now, but I hated it. Like the moment I started high school, I hated it.
Why?
Like you know, when you're the nice, quiet guy, and believe it or not, I used to be quiet and shy at one point. It took me many years to grow out of that, but you know, and when you're quiet and shy, and you got people picking on you and doing their, you know, and bullies and things like that were like, I mean, it was nothing back then. Now it's like 25 times worse. But I just hated it because, you know, anytime people found a way to make fun of you, they would, whether it was just
Right.
making fun of your name or whatever. So I just somehow I just changed it to Fred, and everyone caught on very fast. And from 1985 to this day, like 1985 to this day, everyone calls me Fred. And my dad switched over pretty fast. But you know what? When my mom was alive, I was always going to be her Freddy. She would never convert to Fred. So she was the one person who called me Freddy until she passed away. And even though my Dutch name is Frederick, no one hardly uses that, right? So, but yeah, you know. But the thing is, like my mom and so basically my mom, my dad, and extended family are originally from the Netherlands. So
Okay.
so that is the official name of the country for people who don't know. Like lots of people refer to it as Holland, but that's technically not correct because North and South Holland are basically provinces within the Netherlands. So basically, my dad and his family immigrated to the U.S. So they had a small house in Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, really?
Yeah, and then my mom and her family immigrated directly to Canada, basically where I am now. So what happened was my dad, so my dad's family, like my dad has a brother and a sister. So my dad got his business degree at the time. They might have changed names, but my dad got his business degree at the University of Corpus Christi in Texas. And then after he finished his business degree, he moved to Vancouver, and then he met my mom, who was already here. They did their business, and I was technically born a year later, in November of 1971. So being born a Canadian with Dutch roots, Dutch blood, like I lived in the Vancouver area, West Coast, all my life, and if you want to hear something funny, so I have a small network of friends that I see all the time. So there's these 6 guys that I know, and they're all European background. And we always have these conversations, and when these guys talk in their native language, you can tell right away, okay, you're from somewhere else. And then, so for me, I'm living here my whole life, and I think in my 20s, I was on a hike somewhere, and I came across some German people, and all I said was hello, and they asked me which part of Europe I was from. I said, huh? I'm not from Europe, I'm from here. And kind of passed it off and continued on with the day. And then years later at work, someone asked me, where you're from? And I said, oh, from here. And they said, no, where are you from? And I said, oh, an hour away. And they said, where are you from? And I said, this is getting creepy. Like, they want my address or something? And it was a husband and wife couple looking at each other. And then they asked me the question that made sense to me. They said, where are your folks from? And then, so then I went into the history, and they said, that's why. They said, something in your English, they said, we can't place it, but we can hear some kind of an accent or something going on in your Canadian, because you speak Canadian different than most Canadians. And of course, I don't hear it, because I hear myself speak Canadian, like, all the time. And then I tell my friends the story, and they're like, what the hell? You don't have an accent. You're out to lunch. But the thing is, over the last 10 years, I've had more and more people think that there's something in my English, but they can't figure it out. So I tell them that I'm a strange blended concoction. A strange blended Canadian concoction. There we go. That's title of my tongue.
So all right, yeah. So your nationality's kind of like mine, Freddie. You're a mutt, right? Let's be honest. I am a mutt. You know what I mean? So if you ascended from the Netherlands, technically you're Dutch, right? Okay. So then, well, your parents, right? Then what you have to consider, Freddie, you got to take this into consideration. Now, I live in Massachusetts. Boston, he's from Mass, but moving back to Massachusetts. And there's something about, like, I don't care if you stay in the Boston area for a year, right? You pick up the lingo, and it's almost embedded in your blood, Freddie. So you're essentially, a mutt like me. My nationality stems, supposedly, Freddie, I have a little German in me. I don't know. I know I'm mostly French, Indian, and something else. I don't know. It could be moron for all I know, right? But there's a mix in there. And I always like to find that out, right? Because I think it really tells you a lot about, like, the person's history, the makeup, all that stuff. What's interesting, Freddie, is you're right. Your accent, I was trying to figure out, I'm like, man, I know he said he lives in Canada, but I don't know if that's where he's from. Because you don't, in my opinion, you don't have that deep Canadian accent like many people I know from Canada.
I have my fair share of A's, though. I do use that all the time. A?
Oh yeah. See, man, all you Canucks, listen. Years ago, when I was doing shows in Canada, Canada, Freddie, they would all like A, like, you know what I mean? A. I'm like, okay, can you guys use like B or C? Everything was A, right?
It can be abused.
Yes, but what I love about your country, I was in, I think, LaSalle and Deval, Freddie, and your beer is like 3 times stronger than ours. Like, don't you guys, like, ours is like, I don't know, 6%, 12% alcohol, whatever. Like, your guys' beer is got to be 18% or something. I had one beer out there. Of course, they don't have, well, at the time, Freddie, they didn't have Budweiser. It was some thick beer that I drank. And this was like 2-3 hours before a show. And I'll tell you what, man, it lambasted me, bro. You know what I mean? So I can only imagine that out there in, Canada land somewhere, it's got to be a lot of fun. Are you in an area, Freddie, that is more city, more country? Like, do you go out and sing, or are you more of a homebodied singer?
Well, I mean, I pretty much live right in Vancouver, but the thing is, like, because here you've got what's called like the Lower Mainland. So, but I mean, everyone knows Vancouver on the map. Sorry. So I'm from Vancouver.
Yep.
But also you'll hear somebody refer to the Lower Mainland. So the Lower Mainland are like cities within 30 to 40 minutes outside the Vancouver area. So it's kind of so the whole area is kind of called the Lower Mainland. But I live in Vancouver, but I'm not in the downtown core. So the downtown core Vancouver is maybe 20 minutes or 30 minutes away.
Okay.
And of course, it's busy. I mean, the city is growing so freaking fast. Like, it's not the same city as when I was growing up in it, because now it's just becoming concrete, and
Right, right.
people are putting the towers up, and it's just it's quite sad. But they're trying to change the density, and of course with that it's just becoming more and more expensive as well. But but the thing is, everyone loves it here because the air is always fresh, right? So here, I mean, you can be directly downtown core, but within an hour and a half, you could be in complete wilderness. So like outside the city, you can be in complete wilderness. So of course, everything is great for hiking and cycling and all the outdoor stuff that you want to be out in fresh air and go for long drives. But in the city itself, like, I love being in the city, but believe me, like, if I once in a while get out of the city and go somewhere quiet, I actually love the peace and quiet as well. So I do prefer both. I like having that balance.
It's good to have a balance, Freddie. And I agree. I am more of a country bumpkin. I grew up like in the countryside, more or less, in New Hampshire, actually. And, then I moved years ago to this wretched state of Massachusetts. And I say that with all sincerity. But, I'm kind of the same way, Freddie, right? You got to have a balance. And it's funny because you're a well-rounded guy. You're smart. You're a good-looking dude. And I don't know. I'm just going to take a wild stab. Are you not married, Freddie? Do you have like any children or anything like that, or?
I am married.
Oh, you are married.
I am married.
Oh, okay.
I've got two cats that we adopted 13 years ago. So they're basically brothers. They're seniors in crime, and they're doing well. I mean, the one cat's on thyroid medicine, but other than that, they're still going strong. I don't have any children on my own. Like, I do like kids.
Right.
I mean, it just wasn't meant to be for me. Like, it was out of my control. I mean, I could spend hours going into
No,
detail.
you don't have to, man. That's fine. Yeah.
But it's one thing that, I mean, it's no longer a worry in my life now. Like I'm over that chapter. But hey, I'm my own child within myself. So I mean I'm an uncle to all of my friends' kids. I grew up with my friends' kids. So like I consider myself well balanced. Like, I can be crazy immature. Like, I never lost that inner child, and the way that I feel, like, some adults um may have lost that inner child, and then now they're desperate to try to get that back, but I've never lost my inner child. So I kind of like balance myself. Like, when I'm at work and being a professional by day and have to do what I have to do at work, outside of work, it's like I'm free, like my humor comes out, and I got that strength where I know how to laugh at myself, because some of the stuff that I do, just like it's just so ridiculous. No one understands me except me, and I just laugh about it, and I was explain myself afterwards. But I mean, but but the thing is, like, it was just, but not having kids, like, it was just one of those life event things. And I mean, knock on wood, like, I am blessed with good health. Like, I don't smoke. I do enjoy a rare occasional drink at times. In my lifetime, I volunteered as a counselor for many kids summer camps in the past. Um, and then, like I said, on the work side, where I have to be serious, like, I've I've been in the insurance business since 1999, and for the past 10 years, I work for one of the largest insurance corporations across the U.S. and Canada. So these last 10 years of my life have been the best of my career, because they treat me well, and they promote work-life balance and things like that. Um, and so basically, like, these last 10 years, it's just been specialty complex risk accounts, due to size or complexity. And sometimes I do international placements, like some mining or construction design, like architects, engineers, you know, things like that. But yeah, so it's just it's just it's just um it's just me right now. But the thing is, like, like my character, like I was raised with lots of love, like affection, humor, like it runs through my entire family. Like I grew up in a Christian home, and even now I consider myself a Christian, even though I'm not always practicing. Like I do believe in God. I mean, having faith is another story. I mean, we're human after all, and it's normal to hop on and off the bandwagon. But every day I look in the mirror and I ask myself, what can I do better than yesterday? You know, and I'm a firm believer that we always have to look at today. Like we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So I think this kind of thing just comes with maturity, you know, with getting older and 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 hopefully getting wiser. You know.
Very interesting, Freddie. I muted my mic while you're talking because my fan and stuff is going, so there's a lot of back feed. So that's why it went quiet. It wasn't that I wasn't responding. Um, it One of the things, Freddie, that I always tell people, and I'm not a influencer or anything, right? I'm just some stooge who hosts a show on Friday nights and did a lot of side gigs, speaking gigs, and things of that nature in different aspects of my life. And I always used to tell people, Freddie, that there's no such thing as greatness, and there's no such thing as perfection. There is a such thing as progression, right? And to your point, you recognize that, yeah, you can run along, things are going good, happy, happy, joy, joy, everything's wonderful in your life, but sometimes, you know what, you stumble, right? You trip over a rock or two, you fall, and you brush yourself off, you get back up. And then you start off walking again, and then pretty soon you're jogging, and then you're running again, and then the same thing. It's wash, rinse, repeat. And I like your thought process, and I like how you look at that, because it's very easy, Freddie. And earlier you had mentioned, and it really touched home when you said it to me, that your name. Now, my dad, he died in 2010, I think it was. Now, his name was Fred.
Very few of us out there.
Yeah, his name was Fred. Everybody used to call him Freddy, but his name was Fred. Fred William Curtis. And so the whole point is, my dad, he was a tough guy. A brawler, just a very stocky, badass dude, right? Growing up as a kid, I had severe stuttering, Freddie. I couldn't say hi without, it was so bad. They sent me to speech therapy, and I was a very, very short kid, very short, stubby kid, right, growing up. So I understand, and back then you didn't understand, or we didn't have a concept of what they call bullying today, right? Back then you had a problem, you took it out back after school, you and your buddies stood around. If I had a problem with somebody, well, you deal with it, right? That was our therapy. But I understand what you're saying, because growing up in school, nobody had a name like Denny. So like, Denny. And, so I, in turn, aside from my name and my speech impediment, Freddie, I always got picked on, all the time. There wasn't a day that went by that I wasn't fighting people. You know what I mean? And so it gave me a very bad outlook growing up as a kid. So I can relate to what you're saying. And this is why I say progression. Because what you experience in life, you can do one or two things with it. You can turn it into a positive and become a better person, or you cannot. And you can allow it to dictate every aspect of your life, right? So if you don't take care of the problem within, meaning you, your attitude, and your outlook, then unfortunately, Freddie, too many people end up turning out the wrong way. But I like how you look at things, man. It's nice, it's refreshing. And you know what, you're right. You've got some fur babies, as Jude's from Australia calls them. She sends me pictures of her dogs and cats and stuff like that. She calls them fur babies. You know, I have 6 of them, 2 dogs, 4 cats, right? And if I could do it all over again, Freddie, yes, I still have my kids. I love them all, the ones that I'm aware of. And, you know, I love being a kid myself, Freddie. And you definitely have that personality. Like, I would love to hang out with you, man, like for a week and stuff, and just do fun stuff, you know, play games, sing, and all that stuff.
Oh,
Because
heck yeah.
I think it would be a blast. And I think John and Boston, I think a couple, Freddie, have mentioned it, right? That everybody, we're all trying to figure out how we can have like a big meet and greet. It's going to be tough because literally everybody is scattered all over the world.
Oh yeah.
But at some point, Freddie, we all need to meet up. I think life's too short not to.
We all go through stuff. We all go through like heartaches and crazy stuff in life. I mean, otherwise it wouldn't be life. I mean, it can't be all peachy all the time, right? But the thing is, it always comes down to how you deal with it. Like it's the same thing. It's the same thing at work. Like the managers love me because they think, oh, here comes Mr. Positivity, because they think I have an effect on the other people in the office, because so many people are always down and out and exhausted and burned out and just constantly complaining all day. And I come in there, and no matter how busy I am, I always have time to do my morning walkthrough to say good morning to everybody before I get busy. And every once in a while, like once a week on Fridays, I might throw a couple of dad jokes in there, just to try to make people laugh at complete stupidity. That you know but that's just me, right? Because I even in the heat, even in the heat of 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 bad moments, I always try to find good within that. Like I always try to find some, because it can never be all bad, right? So I always try to find some good in that. And anytime I can offer encouragement, because we all need encouragement. I mean, even I need encouragement. Like we always have these moments where we're down and out, but it's just, even just and it took me many years in life to realize that, hey, we're allowed to feel like there's nothing wrong with that, right? But it doesn't mean that you have to be in that dark place forever, right? So everyone has their own time. I just stay with positive people that lift you up, and just in this crazy busy world that seems to be getting faster and faster every year, that I find that sometimes, like compared to 20 years ago, that sometimes people have, they forgot how to be nice, or they forgot how to respect one another, because they're so busy in all their affairs, that before you know it, it's like wow. And I've actually honestly seen that change, like compared to when I was a kid. It's just, I mean, of course there's still nice, genuine people around, but it just seems different. It just seems people are even too busy to say hi to you, or give you a nice comment, or So I try to find my own way of changing that. Like even if I'm just one person, I try to add a little bit more peace to the world, and hopefully that contributes in some way, right? So no matter how silly I can be, I don't care, because one of the biggest strengths is not to be embarrassed. Just laugh at yourself. Just freaking laugh at yourself, and let other people like laugh along with you, right? Because when people smile, never forget that smile looks good on you, because even if you don't have any words to say, that smile can make someone else's day even better, even without saying a word.
Freddie, I couldn't agree more with you, my friend, and I want you to hold that thinking, because, well, actually, several have posted some questions, which after this song break from you, we are going to get right back to it. But I agree, Freddie. The biggest insult is always the best compliment, right? So, speaking of happy and awesomeness, Freddie, we're going to play another one of Freddie's really, really cool recordings that he did here. Okay, and again, not going in order. Let me see here. This one, I like this particular version of this, Freddie, and I'm glad you did this extended version. Okay, again, Freddy made them public on his page, so please go check them out. But this is the Thunder Rolls, all right, by Freddy Canada. And again, check out his videos and how he does it. Very, very creative. So, Freddy, we're going to roll into Thunder Rolls, and then we will be back with more of Freddy. So, everybody, hang tight.
Thanks, everybody.
"3:30 in the morning, not a soul in sight. The city's looking like a ghost town on a moonless summer night. Raindrops on the windshield, there's a storm coming in. He's heading back from somewhere that he never should have been. And the thunder rolls, and the thunder rolls. Every light is burning in a house across town. She's pacing by the telephone in her faded flannel gown, asking for a miracle, hoping she's not right, praying it's the weather that's kept him out all night. And the thunder rolls, and the thunder rolls. The thunder rolls and the lightning strikes. Another love grows cold on a sleepless night, as the storm blows on out of control. Deep in her heart, the thunder rolls. She's waiting by the window when he pulls into the drive. She rushes out to hold him, thankful he's alive. But on the wind and rain, a strange new perfume blows, and the lightning flashes in her eyes, and he knows that she knows. And the thunder rolls, and the thunder rolls. The thunder rolls and the lightning strikes. Another love grows cold on a sleepless night, as the storm blows on out of control. Deep in her heart, the thunder rolls. She runs back down the hallway and through the bedroom door. She reaches for the pistol kept in the dresser drawer. Tells the lady in the mirror he won't do this again, 'cause tonight will be the last time she'll wonder where he's been. And the thunder rolls, and the thunder rolls. The thunder rolls and the lightning strikes. Another love grows cold on a sleepless night, as the storm blows on out of control. Deep in her heart, the thunder rolls.
thunder. I apologize. Putting my sports coat back on. Freddy just caught me half naked. We'll get back to Freddy in just one second. I was stretching myself. Danny, take care, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us and supporting Fred. We appreciate it. Okay, we're going to get right back to Freddy here with some member questions. All right, so let's get into it here. Let me see. All right there, Freddy. Here he is. Okay, now it's question and answer time. Freddy, I'll start off with some questions I wrote down, and then I will have the members ask any questions, of course. But I think it was Kit Kat. She wants to know how big your house is, Freddy.
That's a good question. So years ago, you know, I used to have, like we used to own a house, and it wasn't super big. It was just one of these like skinny, taller houses. So my old place years ago was like narrow but high, but it was now I go by square feet, so I hope square feet makes sense to you guys. But it was around 2,400 square feet. But now I'm in a much smaller place, so maybe 1,500 to 2,000. So it's big enough for just the two of us and our cats, and it's cozy, and I don't have to worry about tons of housekeeping and all that kind of stuff. If I did, I'd have to hire Denny.
uh, okay, let me see. I think that is Sweet Sue Irene. She's got a different screen name, but I think she's on her phone. That's why it changed. Yeah, Irene, if you're on your phone, unless you change it, right, or you link them, the tag name will be different. Just FYI. Irene says, Freddy, what is your favorite food? Good question, Freddy, because I actually had that down as one of my questions. What's your favorite food, buddy?
Oh my goodness, that depends if I'm dieting or not.
Okay,
Diet? What's
ideally, what's your
No, you know, I am very, very lucky. Like there's not much that I don't like when it comes to food. Like I will like I've traveled to different places, like, you know, North America, you know, like Europe, went to Asia a couple of times, went to Japan a couple of times. So lucky for me, like I have an open mind where I will try anything, and there's a vast variety of foods that I love. Like I love Asian food. I love American food. Like I love pasta. I Oh my goodness. I love noodles. Like when I was in Japan, I had like soba and I had udon, and you could get both hot or cold version of dishes. And in Japan was amazing because Japan is one country where when they prepare stuff, they don't need a million ingredients to make something taste good. Like they use very few ingredients, and you just get knocked off your chair, like, with how good it tastes, right? So I don't need like complicated dishes. I I just doesn't take much to tickle my taste buds. I just I could eat anything. Oh my goodness. Yeah, salads. I love burgers. I love pizza. Oh, great. I haven't had pizza in months. Now we're craving for pizza. Thanks, guys.
I'm with you on the pizza, brother. I'm with you on the pizza. Dennis Shepard asked, Freddie, are you familiar with the groups in Canada in the 50s and 60s? Dennis says he has a collection of 45s downloaded from the net. So are you familiar with the groups in Canada in the 50s and 60s?
You know, I have a lot of knowledge of music, but the problem is my brain can't place artists versus song names. And then when I hear something, all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, I know that very well. So I'd be interested in seeing the collection. Because I honestly I can't think of any offhand. I mean, lately I've come across some Canadian songs that I never heard before. Like even locally, like I'm in Vancouver, and there's a city called Chilliwack that's maybe 45 minutes out, and on that side it's more of a valley than it is a city. And apparently there's a group called Chilliwack, and they sing this song that I hear on the radio, which always makes me go crazy. It's called like She Talks Crazy Talk. So I've sang that song a couple of times and really enjoy it. It's got a good groove.
Okay. All right. I don't know any of them, Freddie. Okay. Uh, Johnny Boston said, Freddie, Brian Adams or Tom Cochran and Red Rider, who's better?
Oh my goodness, I absolutely love Brian Adams. You know, like there was like I don't go to concerts very often anymore nowadays, but before COVID I went to a few good concerts. Like one concert I went to was U2, and I waited 15 years before I was finally able to get tickets to U2, and I went to U2, and they're starting their introduction group was Black Eyed Peas, so that was an amazing night. And then 2 months later, Brian Adams came to town, and it was the best concert ever because his warm-up guy was Colin James, and that was just incredible. And Brian Adams, proud Canadian guy, like you know how most guys they will finish their concert, and you know you bring them back on and they sing another song and the concert's done. Well, Brian Adams stayed on for an extra 30 minutes after the concert was finished because he just loved playing for the fans. And that particular year he was promoting two new albums. Like he had two new albums within 6 months apart from each other. So yeah, so I'd have to say, I mean, I love them all, but I'd have to say Brian Adams right now.
Brian Adams. All right. I mean, I could, yeah, I can kind of agree with you on that one, Freddie. I'll give you a thumbs up on that. So Ma says, Bev, Freddie, what other hobbies do you have? Obviously, aside from music, but what other hobbies does Freddie have?
Well, I'm going to classify it as hobby slash um, interest because sometimes people ask, "What this is a hobby or is this an interest?" So I'm going to combine the two. So I hate running. I've never been a runner. I absolutely detest it. So never had fun doing it, especially now being in my 50s. The knees no way can handle it. But I really enjoy a good walk. I enjoy cycling. I enjoy getting out in the mountains. I love hiking. I love hanging out in the patio, having a beer. I don't drink very often, but occasionally, you know, when I do go out for a drink, I just love it. I am a gamer. Now I'm not a full-time gamer, but I do play video games occasionally. But and then of course, you know, once in a while, I try to get on my guitar and try to learn a new song or something.
Okay, I can dig that. I can definitely dig the gaming. I play this game Ark. I don't know if you ever heard of it, Freddie. It's
No, I'm playing Starfield right now.
Oh, Starfield. All right, yeah. So it's like a never-ending game. My
Open
brother
world?
has a couple of servers, and right now he's got like 40, 50 members now, right? But so I can dig the gaming, bro. I'm in my 50s as well. 'Cause at age, you know, now you got to go to the doctors for amazing physicals. So you know, looking forward to that stuff. But Lois says, asked Freddie, what is it you do for a living? I think he said insurance, Lois, right, Freddie?
Yeah.
Okay, so he does insurance.
26 years in now.
26 years in the insurance biz.
I was 28 when I started, and now I'm going to be 54 in November.
Wow. Same company or just in
No.
general?
But last 10 years I've been with the same company, and last 10 years have been the best of my career.
So is it, I think you told me it's not just like a private insurance. It's not like auto insurance, right? It's more like contract insurance.
You know, when I first started, like everyone just starts out doing basic elementary, like, oh, you know, come into your car insurance, come into your house insurance, and that just gets boring, right? So eventually I got into 100% commercial insurance, and
Okay.
commercial insurance is exciting because you're always using your mind. Someone's always doing something different. There's always something challenging. Market's changing all the time, so it's challenging. And these last 10 years, it's been more specialized. So I've been doing, you know, like mining, like mineral exploration, like large construction design firms, like architects, engineers. So it's quite specialized. And sometimes we do cross-border. So even though I'm in Canada, sometimes we, we'll have a master policy in Canada and then write a local policy in the U.S. or vice versa. Sometimes our clients will have a master policy in the U.S. and then they need a small policy in Canada. Sometimes we have local accounts like mining companies that have mines in like Bolivia or Brazil, and
Wow.
they all have different regulations for taxes and stuff that they have to follow. So even though their insurance is based out of Canada, they still have to get a small tiny insurance policy in certain countries just to satisfy the tax regulations. Otherwise, they get heavily fined. Yeah. So that's just a summary of some of the specialty stuff that I do.
So, if I need specialty life insurance, Freddie, I'm going to give you a call.
I do everything except life.
That's going to be, like, I think, like, I mean, I don't know. I used to dabble in insurance when I was younger, kind of going through the stuff when I was doing the law firms and all that stuff. And I kind of had an interest in insurance for a little bit more so the life insurance, because back then you could actually believe it. I know it sounds twisted, but you would actually get bonuses, right? Like anything else, you hit your mark, hit your goal, whatever and stuff, you'd bonus out. But life insurance was interesting. But what was weird was when you had to go over their policy with them after their loved one, had died, right? And you're going through all of the information, making sure, like, that to me, I didn't like, so much. It was great, getting all the details, signing everybody up and all that stuff. But when it comes to the juice of it, like the reality, well, they have insurance for a reason, right? And so I was like, you know what? I didn't like that too much. I was that guy. So I kind of bailed out of that. But the insurance you're in, though, and I think commercial, and that's weird because you guys are essentially international. So you, like...
Well, I work for Hub International, so we're all over U.S. and Canada.
So you have to, do you yourself, Freddie, do you have to travel, or do you like, stay home and work from home like in your office, or do you have to literally go on the road and travel and meet people, or?
I don't have to do as much travel nowadays per se. So 3 days a week I go into the office, and then a couple of days I work from home. So it's convenient, and it's nice having that balance, because when I have to go out to the office, and it forces me to walk and get some exercise and not be lazy, and and plus when you're working from home, it's easy to put in extra hours and work late, and I don't want to work late. So so sometimes working from home can have its disadvantages as well.
That's true. No, that's true. I agree there. Irene wants to know what special effects software, I think he mentioned this, Irene, but I'll let him elaborate. What special effects software did you use for the Thunder Rolls song?
I used not Minicam. I used Snapcam on that one.
Snapcam, he says, Irene. Snapcam. I've never heard of Snapcam, Freddie.
Well, they're amazing because they're one of the few people that have the AI stuff. Like if you want to put on a mask, if you want to look like a monkey or something, it'll fit your face perfectly, and when you open up your mouth, it'll be all like a line. It's crazy, incredible.
Oh, so it's got the filters. I'm gonna write that down, Freddie. I want to look like a monkey. Snapcam.
Well, anyone who is interested, shoot me a message, because Snapcam used to be free for everybody until they cut it off 2 years ago, and now you have to go through Jakku, and he's got a private server to still access that kind of stuff. Because right. I haven't found any other free software that is that good for effects, and it is totally free. So it's just watching a YouTube video and following a couple of instructions, and then it should work.
I think, effects like that, Freddie, I think are really, really cool stuff. Like when we had our, Discord and stuff like that, it was tough for a lot of people who aren't technically savvy. Like I use Discord all the time, especially for gaming. So for me, it was easy. The channel still exists. It's just open all the time. But, the software aspect of like the technical stuff, do you find it, and then I'll get to the next question, do you find it, you know, like where you're home a lot, right? And you said that you go out of your, home twice a week. Do you find it more, to what I'm looking for, like exhilarating when you go to the office, right? 2 times a week versus staying at home and working from the comfort of your home? Like, do you find that to be like night and day type of thing?
Like during COVID, I was very lucky because um, I was still able to work, right? So during COVID, when everyone shut down and
Right.
people were going through hard life changes with work and things like that, I was quite grateful that I wasn't in that position. I mean, so what happened was you know, people need insurance. They can't just have a shutdown. So my company found a way to make it work so that we could work from home and still, like they had done all the behind the scenes stuff to make it work so that see, normally they don't want people working from home because they're scared of the lack of security when you're
Of
like
course,
logging
yeah.
in from other.
Right.
But they found a way to have it all authenticated and MFA and all that kind of stuff that people could work from home. So for 3 years straight, I was working from home when the offices were literally like shut down, and it was tough because I didn't even know what Zoom and Microsoft Teams was until after COVID
Right.
because everything became virtual, and I hated it because you lose that face to face connection and I realized, wow, I actually miss seeing a physical human being. Like seeing someone on screen is not the same as actually seeing someone in person. You
Yes.
know, and my company, they tried to do their best. Like every once in a while, we had team building events. Like for example, one time my company decided to do something for the team, or we're gonna have a beer tasting event. So what happened was, they had someone deliver 4 cans of beer from 4 different breweries to everybody on our team. I mean, there's thousands of people that work for my company, but my individual team is probably 30 to 40 people. So everyone had 4 cans of beer at home, and then we had to go on to Zoom, and then the brewery, the events team that organized the event, they launched the meeting, and we all saw each other on our computer, and they gave us history on the different beers and how they were made and things like that. And then when we did our taste testing, we're all doing our taste testing, and you can imagine your taste testing looking at each other through screens. I mean, the social aspect of that is just weird. It's not the same, right? But they tried their best, but it just wasn't the same. And then finally, when people slowly start going back, um, you know, now it's like people can see people again. So
Right.
it's
Right.
you know
I would say, you you appear like very articulate, right? I wouldn't use the phrase meticulous. I would say articulate. Um, you seem to have like a very creative mindset, right? Where like when you do something, it's almost like you think and design and plan it all out first, right? And then you kind of lay it out, and then you go step by step by step. Am I wrong on that, or are you?
no, because this is the issue that I have sometimes. So we always have these we always have these meetings at work, and we go through trimetrics and we try to analyze people's characters and behavior to see different people working with different people, and how like we're supposed to be working together for the same common goal, but one person totally works different than another person. So that's me. Like I'm not the kind of person that's like usually thinking out of the box. Like if I'm creative, usually I can't come up with stuff on the spot. I need time to think about it, and then I can come up with something brilliant. But I need the time to get there, you know. S- and sometimes like sometimes I have to organize my thoughts on paper because with me, like if I'm talking to one of you guys face to face and we're just having a friendly casual chat, you guys will just laugh your ass off because we'll be talking about something, and I have a bad tendency of changing topics and go off to something different and go off to something different, and all of a sudden I realize we haven't finished talking about the first topic yet. So, so, so it's like. And I just do this, not even realize it, unless someone gives me a poke and say, "Hey, we're not finished talking about this yet," right? So sometimes if I hate giving speeches, but if I had to give a speech, I have to organize my thoughts on paper to keep an orderly contact, an orderly because otherwise I just go all over the place and and if I'm trying to explain something to people, it's a challenge because some people are to the point, they're just blunt, and that's all they can do. I'm more detail oriented, and
I know it. I know
and
it.
I will do more explanation because I want to make sure that I'm clear and that the person understands me. Now, sometimes that works, and if I'm talking to somebody who's open, they're great. They're patient enough for me, or they'll just give me a punch and say, "Just get to the point. Get to the point." So it depends, but I'm flexible.
No, I knew it. I could definitely pick up on that, and it's not a bad thing. I'm kind of the same way, but in a different, sort of in a different aspect. I'm fast, right? Like it just boom, and I do it. But while I'm doing it, I'm processing and doing it at the same time. But I can relate to that because there are a lot of people I know that are very mind oriented, where they have to process it first, right? Then once they process it, or they think they have it, Freddie, then they jot it down, they plan it out, very detailed, right to that point, which again isn't a bad thing. And Bev over here says, Freddie, actually a good question here, and this is a tough one again. There's probably many of them, but what is your favorite song? Now that's a tough one, I know, to answer. So if you can narrow it down, maybe to a couple, I guess, because that's tough, right? Especially when you're a musician, especially a vocalist, and you love to sing, and your genre is kind of all over here. So that's kind of tough, right? But if you had to say, okay, I have three to choose from that are just my all-time favorite to sing, maybe you sung this particular song or two more than you have others. What would that be?
Hmm.
It's tough, huh?
Let me see. Oh my goodness.
I know what mine is.
Oh my goodness, it's crazy. Lately, lately I've been singing some songs from the Monkees too. Like I'm a believer, and
See, it's a tough question, right? Because you like so much of different types of music, and when you're asked that on the spot, you kind of like, okay, I like this, I like this, I like this. And if you had to really sit back and say, if you had some time to think about it, you could say, well, you know what? Out of all of these bands or this artist, whatever. Now, you mentioned Steve Perry. So I'll help you out. Out of Steve Perry Journey, what would be your favorite song from them to sing?
oh, it would depends because I mean I like my slow songs, but I also like my fast ones as well. Um, but I would have to say like I mean everyone knows "Don't Stop Believing."
Mm-hmm.
I love Faithfully. Um, but it's just like sometimes I get into a feeling where I like John Lennon, like I like singing "Woman" or watching the wheels go by
Right.
um, or sometimes like okay, let me tell you this. So after my dad died, I was a lot more closer to my aunt, and my aunt actually still lives in Massachusetts. So I have other uncles and aunts and cousins that live in Maine, but my aunt is the only one that's in Massachusetts, and beautiful place. Like she lives in Great Barrington, and the place is all green, and everyone's nice there. And I went to visit her, and took a bus to Boston. That's another side trip. But why did I mention my aunt? Oh my goodness, it's terrible. I just lost my train of thought right here.
No, it's okay.
Bye.
You're talking about like songs, favorite songs to sing. How sometimes whatever feeling you're in is basically a song you sing, and then you were saying your dad's passing, you became really close to your aunt.
Yeah, because I was thinking of the old songs, like I think it was Frank Sinatra, who sang "That's Life." So that was one of the memories of my dad, and um and I remember my dad being alive, that he would go crazy over the song, and he just absolutely loved it. And my dad was even on Sync Snap for a couple of years, even though his equipment absolutely sucked. But it's amazing how he still has 4 or 5 songs on Sync Snap that haven't been cut off yet. But the one that's called "That's Life," I downloaded. I found a way to download it, so I saved that one as a memory, and yeah, that song was great. So I just love the old Frank Sinatra stuff. Um, and I'm just learning some more of that stuff. Like there's a blues song or something by Frank Sinatra that I'm learning, that I'm probably gonna be posting a Sync Snap soon as well. But I just love classical stuff. I love blues stuff. I love fast stuff. I love rocking stuff. I love country. Like I love it all. Like I love Alan Jackson. Love Garth Brooks. I love, like you said earlier, Tom Cochrane, and Bryan Adams, and oh my goodness, it's just
It's
like
tough. It's tough.
even AC/DC. I challenged myself, and I put myself out of my element, and I sang even a couple of AC/DC songs. I had the most fun, and this is great. Yeah.
That's a tough question, Freddie. It's a hard question. Not a lot of people like it because you can't narrow it down. Mine would
Challenge
be,
me.
yeah, it's tough. Mine would be "If I Could Dream" by Elvis Presley. That's
Oh, I
probably
love
my
that.
all-time favorite song to sing, only because to me, it has a lot of sentimental value to me, and that particular song, for me, actually won me a lot of my national competitions, only because the power and the emotion behind that song. When I sang it, I put such feeling into it. You know what I mean? Because it related to me a lot of times in my life, a lot of my struggles, like what you were mentioning. So for me, that was like my go-to song. You know what I mean? So it is a tough question, but fear not, because you mentioned earlier, like John Lennon and all them. Now, this next one here isn't John Lennon, but it's right around the same time, Freddie. And I think there's a lot of likeness, probably to the style, in my opinion. I could be wrong. But Freddie, this new one you recorded, which I think is just, it's cool, it's kind of chill, laid back. Your song by Elton John, okay?
Saw his concert 2 years ago.
Oh, you at his concert?
2 years ago, yeah. It was one of his several farewell tours, because he could never stay away for too long. But yeah, it was incredible.
Okay, well, this is your rendition from Elton John. Folks, here is Freddie's version of your song by Elton John.
It's a little bit funny, this feeling inside. I'm not one of those who can easily hide. I don't have much money, but boy, if I did, I'd buy a big house where we both could live. If I was a sculptor, but then again, no, or a man who makes potions in a traveling show. I know it's not much, but it's the best I can do. My gift is my song, and this one's for you. And you can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put it down in words. How wonderful life is while you're in the world. I sat on the roof and kicked off the moths. Well, a few of the verses, well, they've got me quite cross. But the sun's been quite kind while I wrote this song. It's for people like you that keep it turned on. So excuse me for getting, but these things I do, you see, I've forgotten if they're green or they're blue. Anyway, the thing is what I really mean. Yours are the sweetest eyes I've ever seen. And you can tell everybody this is your song. It may be quite simple, but now that it's done, I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put it down in words. How wonderful life is while you're in the world. I hope you don't mind, I hope you don't mind that I put it down in words. How wonderful life is while you're in the world.
Cats and kittens, that is Freddy, your song by Elton John. Again, we are waiting for Freddy to spool back into the live interview session. While he's doing that, I do hope that everybody is enjoying this interview, getting to know Freddy a little bit better, understanding the person. Okay, Freddy, I will resend it to you, my friend. So what happens is, just so everybody understands, because Johnny and I went through it, when you're doing these, right, and we're running the version of the stream that is not the pro version, so it gives you a basic version, which allows us a certain amount of time. So what we have to do is recreate the meetings in the streams, and then just resend it to him, and then he can log back in, and it goes right to the OBS streaming software. So not a big deal. We manage it and do well with it. But again, I want to thank everybody for supporting Freddy in being here. I know it means a lot to him. It truly, truly does. He mentioned it to me several times. So we thank all of you. Yeah, so concurrent views, Shar, that's the actual people that are members. It doesn't include the outside views, which after it will spool it up and show you. So the concurrent views versus real-time views, and then actual views when the show's done. they combine and then add everything up. Um, just analytics, all that fun stuff. Okay, so we've got Freddy back. Freddy, let me pull you up here on my beautiful screen, my friend. Here you is. All right, welcome back there, Freddy, my man. Is your audio on there, Freddy?
Oh, I am. I was just waiting to. Okay, I see myself now. All right, I'm back.
There he is. There he is. There he is. That's right. It does. That's right, John. Johnny Boston doesn't count the feds that are listening in. Yeah, the feds listening to our show every once in a while. CIA, FBI, you know, the Men in Black. Freddie, you know what? I've been asked,
Yeah.
right? You know, people said, Denny, why don't you do an interview? I'm like, well, I do. They're like, no, like, you get interviewed. I said, me? Like, yeah, why don't you do an interview? And I thought about that. I'm like, I don't think I need to. I mean, I think my interview basically is once a week. You know, I don't know really what more I can divulge other than my handsome, gorgeous sexiness that people really don't know about me. I mean, I'm sure there's quite a bit of little fine details, Freddie. You know.
Oh, but by the way, talking about you, hearing you talk about your sexy self,
Yes.
I was thinking about back when you were talking about life insurance, and I was thinking, well, I hope you're not planning an accidental accident because I'm thinking.
Oh, I'm not. No.
No, you know why? Because Jude's might decide to cash out on the policy.
Yeah, I'm not. No, because I'm at least well-rounded enough to know that if God forbid somebody does that, you can't collect on it, right? But no, I'm not worried about me doing it, Freddie. Things happen, right? It's we are who we are, and I always like to have that extra comfort, anyways, Freddie. I'm not gonna take anything with me when I'm buried in the dirt and all that fun stuff. But
I'm the same way.
Huh?
I'm the same way.
Freddie, let me ask you a question, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's irrelevant, but I've asked this to several people before, not on the show. And to me, some people get freaked out about it. Like, they say that when they die and stuff and get buried and everything else, some say that they don't want to go in the ground. They don't want to have worms crawling on them and all that stuff. I'm like, you're not going to know. It doesn't matter, right? But that's how they feel. And then others want to be cremated. Some want to be dumped over the water, or the weirdest one I heard. He's a motorcycle enthusiast. He said that he wants to be on the back of a Harley and spray it on the highway, like as they're doing the bike rally. He just wants his ashes all over the place, right, on a bike. Let's say you, Freddie, what is your preference? A golden throne, a big box, and a cement mausoleum, a statue created of Freddie. What's your preference?
Well, you know what? Like, okay, I'll tell you something. So I lost my dad in 2017, and then I lost my mom like in 2023. When I lost my dad, because my parents, did not care about being buried. So my dad got cremated, and then I decided, okay, what can I do, something special? So what I did was I rented a boat in Vancouver, and I went on I think it was 3 hours each way. Anyway, so I basically just took my mom and I took my sister because I was an only child for 16 years. So that's one thing I forgot to mention. So I was an only child for 16 years. My sister came 16 years later. I'm going to get back to topic. Don't worry. But the thing is, same parents. So my sister and I are 16 years apart. And people thought that I was her father, which was the strangest thing. And anyway, so when my dad passed away in 2017, I rented a boat. I took my mom, I took my sister, and then took my wife, and then we I took my dad's ashes, and I I put a little bit of creativity, just something for heart, like not just by chore, but by heart, because I for me it has to be something special. And I drove to a water, not drove, I rode on the boat. I didn't drive on the water. I rode 3 hours to this waterfall, and then parked the boat, just stopped in the middle of nowhere. And I took my dad's ashes that were in the original box, and I found this really neat thing online. It was a biodegradable um, urn that was meant to like float on water for a couple of minutes and then gradually just sink into the water and then just dissolve and be safe. So I got a really neat water urn with a nice message, and I let him float, and then I had got some loose rose petals, and I had put a trail of rose petals floating behind. So I pushed off the urn like a boat, and then I sprinkled like rose petals behind it, and then slowly after a few minutes, she slowly went into the water, and then eventually after I put music to it, and I made a nice video with memories for him. And the reason why I did this is because my dad loved boats. Like he was a like a operations manager where captains and different vessels from all over the world would dock into Vancouver, and then my dad would oversee and talk. He would talk to the captain. Of course, they would drink scotch because back in the day they had to drink scotch in the captain's quarters, and they were arranging the cargo shipment. Whether it was sulfur or whatever it was. So my dad spent a lot of time around boats, right? So I thought that was a really lovely thing to do for my dad, right? And for me, it's not about like if I'm finished here, like I don't care about the crap that's left over because for me, I know that there's a better place where I'm going to be celebrating and I'm going to be reuniting with all the people that I love, right? So it's never to me it's never a forever goodbye. So like I don't want to be like left behind. If I am to be left behind, you better feed it to somebody who's hungry and don't let it go to waste. So that was my long-winded answer to you.
So, hold on. So, are you referring to if you are left behind, then you your preference would be don't let me go to waste. You would wish for somebody hungry, desolate, to eat whatever remains because just so I'm understand, so we're on the same page here, Freddie, that you would like somebody to consume you as a delicacy, right? That's the way you wanted to frame that, right? Because I'm assuming that if there's any waste left over, you'd want to give it to somebody in need and not just let yourself be departed for nothing.
You're killing me. You're killing me. No, we are so not on the same page.
Okay, all right, Freddie, I had to make sure.
I know.
I was trying to eloquently say this because if that was the case, then I wanted to make sure, man. I spun it as best I could to help you out, bro. Okay, so please redefine what you just said to me.
So I basically visited the Twilight Zone for a few minutes there, but basically like I don't care about what I leave behind. Like, in essence, like I don't need to be buried, and whatever is left of me, if I have anyone that's still around that cares about me, if they take my ashes and dispose of it in a beautiful, serene place that's quiet and away from the city and in forest, and then that would be totally fine. That would be fantastic.
Okay, good. I'm glad you cleared that up, Freddie, because, hey, listen, man, Freddie could be worse. It could very well be worse. I agree with Kat. Like, I would love to, listen, if there's anything left of me, whatever, right, you want to skew me up, stick me on a barbecue, hey, dude,
I can't take
it's your thing.
I'm reading some of the comments. I'm just laugh my ass off.
do what you got to do, brother. But no, I agree with you. I have different opinions and takes and stuff. Freddie, you know what? I'm gonna randomly see if somebody does want to interview me because I tell you what, I've been trying to get my Stumble In podcast, which is a talk podcast, back up, and I have so much content ready to go for the show. It's just when it comes time for the Tuesday night show, just my time, it's not there, right? So it's more or less time scheduling, really, or activity scheduling, as opposed to time management, because you can't manage time. It's impossible. Okay, that's a farce. When I tell people manage your time better, you can't. Nobody can manage time. It's impossible. Everybody has the same amount of time. An hour is an hour is an hour. So it's managing your activities, right, or what you're doing. My point is I always wanted to do the talk show, and when I come on Friday nights and I host and stuff, a lot of me loves to do, like, you know, what you guys are doing, what Johnny did, what Lois is going to be doing in 2 weeks, you know, to have people really hear me rather than the host or, you know, this person or that person. Because I love, personally though, on the flip side of that, doing the interviews like this with the members. Because it allows me and the members, but me personally, Freddie, to get to know you guys as individuals. You know, like I said, I can feel who people are just based even off of their singing. I can pretty much tell who a person is. But I like the closeness. I like listening to them talk. I love hearing the back end. I love to hear the personal stories, you know, of what made Freddie who Freddie is, you know, today. The good, the bad, the in-between, all of that stuff. You know, why is Freddie so personable? Why is he so fun? Like, you know, he's full of charisma. Why is that? You know what I mean? Like, what inspired Freddie? And to me, that gives me a lot of insight as to who that person is, why you do the music that you do, the actual creativity of doing what you're doing. And I appreciate you taking the time to do it. I know sometimes it's nerve-wracking for some people, but I appreciate it very, very much. You know, you taking the time to sit down with me for these 2 hours and do it. I'm sure everybody else does. So I want to thank you. We have a couple minutes left, Freddie. We can do one or two things. I'm going to post, you have like 2 songs left, but I'm going to post the remainder songs. I'm going to play one more to close out the show, but I'm going to repost the other songs, all of them, on the main channel after tonight's show, so everybody can see them. All right? But this next song, okay, Freddie will close out with this song, and then we'll come back, and then, of course, you can close out tonight and say your goodbyes and everything else that you have to say, but this is a quickie right here. This is a fun song, Freddie, that you recorded. All right, and this is Who Put the Bop in the Bump. All right, so.
And by the way, before you quickly play that, so in Sync Snap since 2008, Bump 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 has been my motto. So like so basically. People can think of bump on bump as having different meanings, but for me, it was intended to be a positive phrase to get up, cheer the love, and shake it all around. So if you look at my profile, bump on bump, it's been my motto since 2008. Just wanted to say that.
Okay, well, there's your go-to song. See, there you go, Freddie. All right, this is Freddie's rendition of Bump Bump Bump, as he so elegantly puts it.
I'd like to thank the guy who wrote this song that made my baby fall in love with me. Who put the bump in the bump, the bump, the bump? Who put the ram in the ram-a-lam-a ding-dong? Who put the bop in the bop, she bop, she bop? Who put the dip in the dip, the dip, the dip? Who was that man? I'd like to shake his hand. He made my baby fall in love with me. When my baby heard bump, 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 every word went right to her heart. And when she heard them singing ram-a-lam-a-lam-a-lam-a-lam-a ding-dong, she said we'd never have to part. So who put put the bump in the bump, a bump, a bump? Who put the ram in the ram-a-lam-a ding-dong? Who put the bop in the bop, she-bop, she-bop? Who put the dip in the dip, the dip, the dip? Who was that man? I'd like to shake his hand. He made my baby fall in love with me. Each time that we're alone, boogity, 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 shoot, sets my baby's heart all aglow. And every time we dance to dip, the dip, the dip, dip, the dip, the dip, she always says she loves me so. So who put the bump in the bump, a bump, a bump? Who put the ram in the ram-a-lam-a ding-dong? Who put the bop in the bop, she-bop, she-bop? Who put the dip in the dip, the dip, the dip? Who was that man? I'd like to shake his hand. He made my baby fall in love with me. Oh, darling, bump, 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 bump. Hey, my honey, ram-a-lam-a ding-dong forever. And when I say dip the dip, the dip, the dip, you know I mean it from the bottom of my boogity, 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 boogity shoot.
That is Freddy from Canada right there. We're going to jump right into Freddy as we wrap up this amazing meeting, live interview with a family member, DCG member, and of course our friend. We love him to pieces. Freddy, again, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us tonight, Freddy. And I have an announcement, Freddy. I'll email it, but I have somebody that just offered, and I won't say who it is, to interview me. So I will make that announcement, and it's actually going to work out really, really well. You guys will be shocked as to who's going to do it. But Freddy, great performances, man. Bro, keep up that optimism. You know, that spunk, that fun personality that you have. You are a awesome attribute, a blessing to the show. You know, you and all the other members, you bring just such love and positivity to the show and joy, and everybody loves you, man. So I want you to know that, feel inspired, and keep doing what you love, brother. We personally thank you, and I'll let you, close out the night by saying what you want to say, bro.
No, I just want to say once again, I'm the happiest guy in the world since the first day you told me that we were going to schedule this thing, and to see everyone excited to hear me and to get to know a little bit more about me. It's nice. Like it's like coming to DCG has been the absolute best, because sometimes on Sing Snap you sing and you do your thing and you don't really have a lot of close connections. But here I feel like, wow, family is here. It's fantastic. And I feel all your love and all your joy. And Denny, you are an incredible human being. You really are. Keep it up. It's just, you are fantastic. I appreciate everything you do here and the people that help you out. John, Bev, Jude, and I hope I didn't forget anybody, Bev, but you guys are all freaking amazing. Really, really appreciate it. And it's like life can be special. I'll just finish by saying that life can be special. We don't have to have a lot of riches, because don't forget that every one of us is rich, because it doesn't come down to material things or wealth, but we have abundance in love and abundance in blessings, and we can find beauty in even the smallest things. And never stop finding beauty in the smallest things that most people take for granted. And but we are rich because we know what it's like to work hard for things, and we know how to treat people and have common respect, and to value life, and so no matter what we go through, we can have each other's back. So I just wanted to say thank you, everybody. Just absolutely incredible.
Freddy, well said. Good closing, my friend. Thank you so much. And thank all of you, every single one of you. We appreciate you. And everything Freddy said, and then some. Don't forget, next week, is we are going to do a regular show, okay, a worldwide members feature. So get your songs in now. Don't forget the cutoff is Thursday, 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, my time. That's all that matters. Get your recording in. They'll put them in the show folder. Okay, any residuals, obviously, as you know, go into the Dropbox. So let's jam up this show next Friday with our members. Okay, let's make this a packed night next Friday. Send out the emails, messages, guys. Don't forget, like the show afterwards, please. We appreciate that. Give it a thumbs up. Comment if you can. With all that being said, guys, again, we thank you for being here and thank you for supporting all of us. And as I always say, please be kind to others. Most importantly, be kind to you, and let today go. Tomorrow has new anxieties. God bless everybody. Have an awesome weekend.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. I hate to leave you, but I really must say, oh, good night, sweetheart. Good night. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. Good night, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. I hate to leave you, I really must say, oh, good night, sweetheart. Good night. Well, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Baby, I just can't get right. Well, I hate to leave you, baby. I don't